For decades now, Nigeria and other African countries have been exporting crude oil. They have been exporting crude oil to Europe. And when they export crude oil to Europe, Europeans or European refineries, they refine this oil, they work on this oil and import them back to Africa as refined oil. That is, Nigeria and other African countries buy this refined oil after exporting their raw materials to them. And when they buy this refined oil, they buy this refined oil very expensive. This refined oil are very, very expensive. You get very, very expensive. But now Dangote's refinery has changed everything. Dangote has broken the system. Dangote has challenged the system right now as we speak. I think the World Bank is really going against. The World Bank does not favor Africa. You get, the World Bank does not have Africa's interest. I'll give you reasons why I say so. The World Bank doesn't really have African interest, because how can you as a World Bank come online? Because on the in April 2026, the World Bank published a report, like they released a report saying that Nigeria should reopen petrol imports. That's the first thing. And by reopening petrol imports, they are going to increase market competition in Nigeria and in Africa. You get? So as they are reopening, it's going to avoid too much of dependency on the Dangote Refinery, which means that Nigerians and Africa will no longer depend too much on the Dangote Refinery, and there's not going to be competition, because Dangote Refinery is the only refinery in Africa right now as we speak that is actually working, refining products or oil and selling to other African countries. So now the World Bank went further now to say that importing fuel is temporary, in fact not even temporary, relatively cheaper than when you import fuel from European countries. Is relatively cheaper. How come? How is it relatively cheaper? That's the question I'm asking myself. Nigerians have been spending a lot of money buying refined oil from Europeans, from the Western world. They were spending a lot of money. Their reserves were getting dry. Their money reserves were getting dry. But now they have decided that somebody has owned up that no, he wants to reduce the importation of fuel from Europeans, and now the World Bank wants the same people who were suffering to restart again, to reopen petrol import. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all, because the World Bank doesn't have Africa at heart or Africa's interest. The World Bank doesn't have African interest. So after posting this report online, I love what Nigerians did. Nigerians and other Pan-African supporters, they were angrily replying, backlashing on this report that was posted by the World Bank in April 2026. They were backlashing, they were angry, they were saying many things, like they were not in support. They were seriously angry, and many Nigerians and Pan-African supporters say that why should Nigeria import fuel again after finally building Africa's biggest refinery? Why should they open? Why should they import again after building Africa's biggest and finest refinery in Africa? Presently, as we speak, the Dangote Refinery is the biggest refinery in Africa, and the same Dangote Refinery is the third biggest refinery in the world. So the way Nigerians and Pan-African supporters backlash this report, they backlash the report in such a way that the World Bank quietly went and removed that report and changed things on the report online. They changed it. They saw that no, the pressure was too much. What they said wasn't correct. The pressure was just too much, because the rate at which Nigerians angrily backlash reported, like saying things against the World Bank. I love Nigerians because they are very supportive. They don't take trash from anybody. You come anyhow, they receive you anyhow you come, or they receive it the way you come, and you go back a different way. You go back a different way. After massive backlash, the World Bank reportedly, in fact, they went and removed and changed the report. They changed that report, and as they changed that report, it seriously, many Nigerians and Pan-African supporters are seriously asking themselves that what is going on with the World Bank? Is the World Bank really for Africa or against Africa? You get? So why is this refinery, why is the Dangote refinery clashing with the World Bank? The first thing is that the refinery is producing more than 1 million barrels of oil per day. Means you need to know how much barrels of oil the Dangote refinery is producing. And the same refinery is the world largest, I earlier mentioned, is the world largest single stream refinery in the world. In the world, Nida refinery is the biggest in the world, third biggest, and then the biggest in Africa. The same refinery is now functioning, is operating on its own. The World Bank doesn't have charge, or the World Bank is not part of the operations, which means that Africans are in charge of the Dangote refinery. The Dangote refinery is made up of Africans. No Europeans are there to control and all that. So there's no control. So what the World Bank they want to have control. If they don't want to have control over the Dangote refinery, they want to at least have control of the market. They want to have control of the market so that the market should be competitive. Yes, the market should be competitive out there, but not here. In fact, let other billionaires in Nigeria, other billionaires in Africa, other trillionaires in Africa sit and come about with another refinery that is going to compete with Dangote refinery in Africa, rather than wanting other African countries or Nigeria to continue importing fuel after spending a lot of money, losing a lot of money in their reserves. Their reserves are getting empty now, but now Dangote has broken the system totally. Nigeria now doesn't longer import fuel. Nigeria does no longer import fuel, and Nigeria has encouraged and has prioritized local refinery. So many local companies are refining their own fuel, and they are exporting their products to other African countries and beyond. And are you aware of the fact that Europeans are actually, or as we speak, they are seriously importing fuel from Nigeria? They are buying fuel from Nigeria, and Nigeria is seriously exporting fuel to European countries. An example of that country is the UK. The UK is seriously exporting fuel. Seriously, like they are importing fuel from Nigeria, the Dangote refinery, and the Dangote refinery is creating impact. This is historical. That's what I can say. This is really historical because the table has changed. Everything has changed. Africa used to import fuel from Europe, but now the Europeans are now importing fuel from Africa. This is a historical change. The table has changed, and I'm really happy for that. I'm really, really happy for that. So the reason why the World Bank is afraid of the Dangote refinery is that, one, Africa and Nigeria is able to keep money in Africa. As they are building everything in Africa, money is circulating in Africa. They are not sending money out of Africa. Everything is moving well. The African economy is becoming stronger and better every day. Same as the World Bank. The World Bank cannot access the same funds that Africa has, so they don't have control over African funds. So money remains in Africa, circulates only in Africa. The Dangote refinery has expanded across other African countries, not only in Nigeria, but the Dangote refinery has how can I put it, has extended their tentacles. So the Dangote group is planning now to open another oil refinery in East Africa, that is in Kenya. They are planning to open another refinery, and Nigeria and Africa as a whole do no longer depend on importing fuel from the Europeans anymore. That is why the World Bank is afraid. The World Bank is afraid of what the Dangote refinery is doing, what Dangote is doing. Africa is a very big place. If we don't sit and do things on our own, they will come and control us and tell us what to do. And that is what the World Bank is doing. The World Bank wants to control what is going on in Africa, and it can never happen that way. It can never happen that way. What Dangote is doing a very, very great job. So Africa now is independent on their own. They no longer depend on importing fuel. This is historical for me. The table has changed. Africa used to import from Europe, but now Europeans are importing from Africa, and it's a very good thing. It's going to boost the African economy. So kudos to Nigeria, kudos to Dangote, and kudos to the Dangote group for doing a very, very great job.